Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Hey Team Healthy, Gus and I welcome you to another episode of Unbound. This is where I take comments and questions for you, and we'll see if we can make some sense of it. One of the things that I am going to address today is a question that I face many times in the therapy office, and that is, why do narcissists feel such a strong need not just to humiliate you, but to dehumanize you? Have you ever had that happen to you? Narcissists have such a need to elevate themselves at your expense that if they can just take away your sense of dignity, if they can strip away your worth and your core humanity, they walk away thinking, yep, I win, and I show them who's boss around here. And in the meantime, they offer very little beyond psychological destruction. Why do they do this? Well, I have two different illustrations here that's going to allow us to get into this. And I'm wanting you to be thinking about some of the times that you felt like you've been demeaned and condescended upon in such a way that's totally necessary. And we're going to figure out how, what's going on behind that and how you can maintain your sense of well-being despite their poor appreciation for who you are. The first question is this, and my heart goes out to this person. She says, I've only been married a year, and I think my husband is a narcissist. When we have the simplest disagreement, he's crazy defensive and accuses me of all sorts of wrong motives, like I'm trying to undermine his rightful place of authority inside our home. Now, I hear that one fairly often, his rightful place of authority. One of the things narcissists do is they like to establish very quickly a hierarchy, and they're on the high end, and guess where you are. This person goes on to say, what's worse, he goes into character assassination. He's hateful and demeaning. I've been told that I'm ungrateful and I'm a selfish B-word. Later, he'll apologize, but the next time we disagree, he does the same thing. I'm feeling really discouraged. This isn't what I signed up for. Now, let's keep in mind that narcissists operate with what I refer to as miserable psychological math. They begin thinking to themselves, if I can rob you of your internal peace, if I can strip away your sense of self-confidence, then I'm going to be a better person because of that. I'm going to be on the top of the heap. And they do this all for the purpose of making themselves feel strong. It's kind of like, yeah, if I beat you up and if I tell you how awful you are, I'll walk away thinking, well, good thing you have me in your life to set you straight and to make sure that you do things according to what I know is right. And that's what they do. And then when all is said and done, they don't even recognize that in bringing you down, they bring themselves down too. They create misery for you, and then they walk off in a bad mood and surly and like this person says, they can perhaps sometimes come around and say, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. And yet they're so committed to diminishing you that they can't stop themselves. Now, what's going on? It's important for you to understand that narcissists are, well, nobody actually, you're not able to give away something that you don't possess. For example, if I say, I'm going to give away $1 million, and boy, I'm going to have fun giving away that $1 million, but then I only have $100 in my bank account, well, then that's an illusion. Narcissists want to give away a positive influence, I suppose, but what they carry on the inside is fear. They carry shame. They carry a history of deep judgment. They carry identity confusion. They carry anger. They carry pessimism. They carry distrust. They carry confusion regarding their own psychological competence. That's what they harbor on the inside. And so when it comes time for them to unload whatever is inside of them, then you're the one that's going to be the recipient. Now, healthy people, I mean, sometimes we can have our negative emotions, but healthy people can carry the desire to be encouraging or have a certain amount of contentment or rationale or fairness or decency or respect. Narcissists think, that doesn't work for me. And so they look for these power kind of moves. And when you examine it like that, it's like, what is going on inside a person that means that this is the only thing they have to offer? And unfortunately, narcissists, when they dehumanize you, illustrate, I'm not in touch with my own humanity, my worth. My dignity, my sense of well-being has been squashed or taken away from me. If it ever was acknowledged or recognized in the first place, that's all I carry on the inside. And so when this person begins to see that this is what my new husband is doing, unfortunately, she's realizing, well, he did a pretty good job, apparently, of covering this up, because she's saying this isn't what I signed up for. The implication is, I thought that he was a nice person and friendly, and we got along and we could share positive things. That's why I chose to marry him. I'm assuming that's the case. And yet, unfortunately, they didn't do a good enough job, or perhaps he did an excellent job of covering up, but of uncovering some of the strain and difficulty he was carrying on the inside. Narcissists are not known for being very self-reflective, and I'm guessing that did not happen in a very real or honest way prior to them getting married. He's doing this to you because it's who he is. And it's important for you to realize, you're thinking, why are you doing this to me? And I want to take the last portion of it, to me. And I sympathize with you, obviously. And then why is he doing this? He's doing this because he's programmed to do so. It's already on the inside. You happen now to be a player on his stage, unfortunately, and you're going to get the brunt of it. If somebody else were in the same position, they'd get the exact same treatment. So it's not about you. It's important for you to remember that. Okay, we have another one. This person says, is the narcissist's false self a type of delusion? Okay, let's pause right there. Of course it's delusional, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. This person says, I have a coworker who thinks she's God's gift to humanity, and she's constantly putting people down. I keep wondering, who is she to think that she has the right to treat people like dirt? Even on her best days, she's barely tolerable. Okay, so here you have somebody who's in her work domain, and even, like I say, even on her best day, she's barely tolerable, but then basically she treats people in a very disdainful kind of way. What's that all about? Well, let's go back to this person's use of the word delusional. Is this person delusional? And when you feel the need to treat people like dirt, we go back to our word dehumanizing. Then it's like there's certain delusional thoughts that you are holding on to that allow you to think this way. For example, one of the delusional thoughts that these narcissists can have is, I really believe that I make sense, despite all the evidence to the contrary. Yeah, I make sense, and my logic, my reasoning, my methods, my preferences, my interpretations, my priorities. Oh, you're lucky to have me around. And so they have this delusional thinking that they're the gold standard. They're the standard bearer, and they're just surrounded by a bunch of idiots. In addition, one of the delusional thoughts that they hold on to is, I don't have any need to grow. I don't have anything to learn. I don't have anything that I need to have challenge my way of thinking. I'm complete. Now, this is despite the fact that hardly anyone likes her, and she's a miserable person even on her best day, and she has a natural propensity towards treating people in a very disdainful kind of way. No, I don't have a need to grow. It's all the rest of you who need to grow and get more like me. And I'm thinking, dear Lord, please, let's not make that happen. Or another delusion. They think, well, if my standards are impossible, I'm going to go ahead and push them anyway. So you think that I have impossible standards. Well, all that tells me is you're an idiot, because my standards are, they're so good and I'm so right and I'm so wonderful. And so when you have this situation, like in this first one where the husband is chronically critical and harsh and demeaning and insulting, the second one where this person at work treats people in a very dehumanizing way, like dirt. What we have here is we have proof positive that these individuals can only give away what they have, and then their thinking is guided by delusional thoughts. The narcissist wants you to think you're the problem, which is why they have so many accusations and harsh and unfair charges against you. And so much of this, like 99.99% of the time, is a projection of their own internal confusion. Rather than saying, I'm really struggling with the whole concept of worth and dignity, what they do is they put it onto you. Well, the problem is you have no worth and no dignity, which is kind of a confession, because you see, I think that way because I don't have any within me. And so they displace their miserable tendencies upon you, and they want you to think, well, I can't, I'm too weak to say I have problems. Therefore, I'm going to put it all onto you. So know what you're dealing with. Understand that you're in the presence of a very confused, immature, psychologically stunted individual. And when they make these pronouncements, it's fair for you to say, given the person that's making these pronouncements, I can do better. I'm going to move on away from those individuals. I'm certainly not going to take counsel from them. They're not going to be the one who establishes my psychological pace. No way. I hope this gives you some good awareness of what you're dealing with. I'm so sorry that you have to deal with some things like this, but at the same time, I'm hopeful that you can gain insight into how you can become the better version of yourself. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do. We'll keep more of these videos coming towards you. I really like this Unbound format because it allows me to kind of get into where you are on a more personal basis. So send your questions, and then we'll see what we can do to turn them into episodes like this. Now, you know that I'm sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. You've heard the intro that we had to my video here. If you have a need for therapy, please take us up on that. There are times when the narcissist voice can be so strong on the inside of you that you need somebody to help you objectify what they're trying to tell you so that you can move on into a much better way of thinking and being. And so as the need is warranted, we have the link below the video here. Get the help that would be warranted. Now, in addition, I would invite you to go to my website. We have lots of resources on there. First and foremost among them, I have my 4 courses. They're very extensive. I put a whole lot of work into them, and each one of them has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts and guided questions. And what I'm trying to do in them, I break them down into modules, into sections where we talk about your anger management and all that entails. We talk about having boundaries and all that entails, having healthy connections and what goes along with that, along with how to find yourself despite the controllers. It would take a lot of work, but it's a very therapeutic exercise on your part. Also on my website, I have my webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations, hundreds of articles, as well as my books. So plenty of resources there. Now listen, I know that if you're on the receiving end of this humiliating and dehumanizing style of communication, it can wear you down. I'm hoping that you can understand the whole concept of boundaries and say, you know what, I'm going to define who I am and live inside of that. You, Mr. or Mrs. Narcissist, you're too confused to be in charge of who I am. I'm going to move on because my goal is not dehumanization, but my goal is actualization. I need to live into my best version of myself. I wish that absolutely for you.